I want to say hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another great edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio right here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and I'm glad that you are here today. We have a fantastic show, a fantastic topic, but we also have an even more fantastic, amazing co-host today, Sheila Applegate. Good morning, Sheila. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
A lot of things going on over the weekend. It was Memorial Day, holiday here. And so, we had a lot of fun in our neck of the woods. We've got a very special guest with us today. Guest host with us. I want to introduce him because he's a dear friend, even more amazing messenger and healer. And so I just want to go ahead and get you to meet him and have him be part of this conversation as well. Zachary Hansen is an inspiring leader whose mission is to bring hope and clarity to the lives of others. As the co-creator of Fractal Illumination and the co-founder of Consciously Awesome, Zachary is a certified ambassador of consciousness, soul messenger, somatic breathwork practitioner, and Reiki master. He is passionate about helping people understand themselves and their life paths more deeply, providing them with the guidance and the clarity they need to make the most of their lives. Through his somatic breathwork, spiritual readings, and energy healing, Zachary helps people connect with their divine source and promote their spiritual evolution. With a friendly and nurturing approach, amen to that, Zachary is dedicated to helping people reach their highest potential. And so with that, it is my pleasure to welcome to This Morning with Soulivity, my dear friend and brother, Zachary Hansen. Hey. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm a big fan.
Oh, man, I'm a big fan of yours.
Thanks.
I'm glad that we're going to be talking about this topic today. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to wait. But first and foremost, how was your weekend, bro? I mean,
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I got to do some work around the house. I played a game of Infinity by Corvus Belli. As in a tournament for that. It's a tabletop miniature game. So I had some fun, did some work, got some sunshine and some nature, and read some books.
Oh man, I want your weekend.
It was good.
Listen, just to let everybody know, again, today's show is something very special for me because we're going to be talking about something that I don't think that we talk about enough. I guess that's like our common theme here on This Morning. We're going to be talking today about the divine masculine. Woo! This is something that I was thinking about this, guys, and I was like, wow, when was the last, I was thinking in my own life, when was the last time I even had a conversation about this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zach, you and I have talked about it a little bit, but before then, when was the last time you kind of even like had a deep conversation about the divine masculine at all?
Well, Sheila Applegate is my partner, so I get to talk deep about a lot of subjects. But outside of that, I would say never.
Yeah. Why is that? I mean, before we get into like what it is and all that, why do we not have the conversation? Is it because people don't think of masculinity as in our way? I mean, we're going to go into details about the meaning of it, but masculinity isn't thought of as the divine, I guess. I don't know. Sheila, what do you think?
This is really interesting because Zach brought the idea up in a conversation a few days ago or a week.
Yeah.
And I realized that I haven't thought too much about it. I have been working with the divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
My first book is about the divine feminine, and I work very much in channeling Isis and Magdalene, and so I've been focused on that. And then I've been channeling Solara, which is the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in harmonic union for years.
Yeah.
But I never really stopped to think about the divine masculine. So it was like, yeah, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I mean, kind of weird, right, Zach? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think it's weird at all, actually. Our societies and our cultures,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's the source
yeah,
of
yeah. Now that's true.
why
That's
we
true.
don't talk about it and
Mm.
what stigmas and belief systems and all these things that are impressed upon men. And that's why we don't talk about it. Right.
Yeah.
And you put the word divine in front of it, and now it becomes, people like to say this word woo woo these days, whatever that means, right? Instead of replacing that with sovereignty, that's really
Right.
what divinity is sovereignty. So I just really feel like there's a lot of cultural and I'll just leave it at that, cultural and societal structures that limit us from even like going down there, right?
Right. 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 So let's kick this off with what is it for us, Zach? Again, you and I have kind of talked about this. You talk about this with Sheila. I know, Sheila, you talk about it with Zach. So let's kind of go around robin. What does it mean for each of you? And so, Zach, I'll go to you first. What is the divine masculine for you?
So I've been spending some time just really trying to form my own ideas
Mm-hmm.
at a very deep level. And some words came to me finally yesterday about some of the concepts that I've been working on. And ultimately, from my point of view, the divine masculine represents the stewardship of freedom in the physical world. And I have to start with that because next to that is the divine masculine creates safety in the world.
Mm.
And I don't want to have that confused with security.
Yes.
Right? Because our in our culture here in America, we give up liberty, we give up freedom for security. And that's the opposite of what the male energy represents, in my opinion.
I like that. I like that, Zach.
And
Sheila,
go ahead.
Sheila, what about you?
I like what Zach just said. I'm not sure that I would say I have a quick definition of the divine masculine that I've settled on right now, but
Yeah.
I like thinking of sovereignty. I think that means, like Zach said, that's divinity, but sovereign really hit my heart when Zach said that. And ultimately, I think when we're speaking of the divine, all attributes include love and
Mm-hmm.
sovereignty and empathy and grace and strength. So I'm just fascinated when we bring that into human form on either the feminine or masculine. Like, where do we delineate between the society's perception that we've embraced and what is truly divine within us? So I'm here to explore, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I have my own thoughts about it around, like, I think, Zach, man, I was thinking of, before we start talking about this, I was thinking about, like, the divine masculine is that part of ourselves which shows up as our individualism. It's the way that we express the divine into this world. I think the feminine is more collective, like, we're collectively, our connection with the collective. But I love the idea of sovereignty. That's even better, because it's not, you can be sovereign, but you can also be connected, right, at the same time.
Amen.
And there's really no walls. Like, we have all these countries, but from space there is you don't see lines on on the earth dividing up and cutting up countries. It's just mutually agreed upon that this is our sovereign area, right? Though we're still connected, right? The land doesn't end and begin. And so, man, Zach, I mean, I think you nailed it, bro.
Thank you. Thank you.
Show's done.
So y'all got that as sovereignty from this point on. And you know, there's this great article that I pulled up that I shared with the two of you, that I also shared with people, you know, that are listening in. And one thing that I think that people need to understand is that divine masculinity is not the same as social masculinity, right? One is a construct of us, right? That based upon what society rules and who's ever in part. So the patriarchy created, you know, societal masculinity. Divine masculinity is, and I'll go to you, Zach, is
I'm going to touch back real quick on the idea of sovereignty and how you said you can be sovereign and still connected. Yeah. And this sovereignty, depending on how you define it, that to me, it's a paradox. Being
right.
connected is sovereign.
Right.
And really, for me, when I started to look at what the divine masculine is and what it means to be a man cannot be a man without the things that the man is not. Ooh. So the man must honor the earth, because without the earth, there is no man.
Right.
The man must honor the divine feminine, the woman, because without the woman, there is no man. The man must honor the children, because without the children, there is no man.
Right.
The man must honor his other brothers, because without them, he is no man. So ultimately, the things that a man is not defines the man himself, and he needs to be a steward of creating a safe and sovereign place for life to express itself and grow.
Wow.
That's
and
beautiful.
Thank you for listening to This Morning with Soulivity. No, Zach, I mean, that's deep, bro.
That's how I roll.
Seriously. And I mean, I felt that deep in my heart, which is the whole point, right? The divine masculine is within all of us.
Yes.
Right? It's within all of us. And that, I think that, you know, the things that we've seen and even been taught by our parents and that kind of thing around masculinity and this aggressive, you know, arrogant, domineering kind of thing that we've been taught is not the fullness of what the divine masculine is. And I love the fact how you put that together, because there's a wide open, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a wide open, full understanding and awareness and integration of that the divine masculine must seek out and must respect and assure the divine feminine and divine masculinity in other people around them. I think that's what I was trying to get to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
You know, wow. Woo. All right. We're going to take a quick break, really quick break. Let that kind of sit in, because I know I need to let it sink in a little bit. And when we come back, we'll talk about, like, you know, general things like what are the benefits, you know, how does this relate to our own spiritual awakening? Because I think these things are also important for people to understand. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity right here on Soulivity.com and KMET 1490 AM.
Have you ever asked the question, If I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. I've got of course, my amazing co-host Sheila Applegate, but we also have another amazing guest co-host today, Zachary Hansen. We're talking about the divine masculine, something that we don't talk enough about, and wanted to try to get into, like, why is the divine masculine so important, and why do we need to really create this beautiful divine balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine? So Zach, I'll go back to you, brother, because you're on fire this morning, man.
All right, so let's go back to this. So first, freedom, right? Freedom is the first thing.
Right.
But then let's go to safety. So the divine masculine represents power, right? We are very powerful creatures physically. And so through this power, we can create or destroy security, right? And so when we talk about the development of a child and their nervous system, in the mother's womb, and the mother herself, we can use our strength, our power, to create a safe place to nurture those around us. So there isn't so much trauma and so much dis-ease and all of these other negative shadow aspects, as people would say, about the divine masculine. So I think it really starts there. Like, that's our true power. Like I said, freedom, the freedom to grow, the freedom to express ourselves, the freedom to be who we are and to create and to communicate, the freedom to connect to each other, to co-create, to break bread together, to pray together, to love together. Like, this is the power that the male has through physical strength.
Wow.
Right? And that's just one aspect of physicality that we can provide a safe place for human beings to have wonderfully regulated nervous systems, right?
So Sheila, as I'm listening to Zach, what's coming up for me is masculinity in terms of what you're talking about, Zach. And I'm just using the loose term of negative. It has already shown up, right? That masculinity, that immature masculine energy, where it's dominance, it's control, that kind of thing. What I hear from you, Zach, is, listen, you can flip that on its head and have a level of maturity where now you're bringing people together, where people are loving each other, communing together, respecting each other. That's part of the divine masculine that I see. That it's like, again, you can choose to use the energy that way, but you can also choose to use the energy of the divine when you bring the divine and a more mature aspect of masculinity into the world. Sheila, I see you doing this a lot, girl. Seriously.
Thank you. Because it's in both of us, right? Like, that is such an important point, that the divine masculine and the divine feminine is in each one of us, no matter what your sex is, what your gender is on earth. And I, this is partly why I think that the younger generation that is really claiming that whole spectrum of gender identity is essential to this movement in itself, because it's a physical way of honoring that we have both sides of this, that we are a combination of both the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us. But Zach said something the other day that really, in what you two were talking about, being the protector and the strength. And so when he was first starting to say words of what divine masculine might be, I was slightly triggered because of the misuse of it in our society, like strength, warrior, power, and
Right.
how. And so then he said, but what are we protecting the divine feminine, or what are we protecting women from? We're protecting them from ourselves, because we're the most dangerous. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, the male energy, the male people on earth are the predators. Like, we don't have to worry about, saber-toothed tigers anymore. But that comes in so many ways. It comes in the laws, the suppression of women, the lack of safety that we have just walking down the street, And so it is time, and it is really powerful for both genders, all people, to understand and embrace that the misuse of masculine energy over the last several decades or centuries.
And as you were talking, Sheila and Zach, I was also thinking about this. Who dishes out the punishment if you do not conform to that toxic masculinity? The masculine still does that, right? So it's the toxic masculinity reinforces and enforces toxic masculinity, so that now you're talking about like hell on earth, right?
Yeah, basically.
And so, Zach, I love the fact that you're saying, listen, you don't have to live your life from that point of awareness, that you can expand and awaken that part within you that is more about divine masculinity and again, mature masculinity, that instead of ripping things apart, you're building.
Absolutely.
You're creating.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, how it relates to our spiritual awakening, because you know me, Zach. I mean, I think everything is about your spirituality, everything, because I believe that we're spiritual beings living in a human experience to learn and grow, and again, it's like our playground, and we get to even if we scrape our knees and all that kind of thing, we still grow from that, we evolve. So let's make that connection, right? We know what it is, we know how it can benefit us, but how does this connect to that overall spiritual awakening that brings forth this new experience of life?
Well, for me, I mean, so part of being divine masculinity is connecting. It's all about connection. The first thing we have to do is connect, right? Whatever word you want to call it, whatever word you use is fine, about connecting to a higher source of power. That power could be nature itself. Nature is a force, right? It could be quantum physics. It could be spirit, whatever word it is. It's truly about connection, because through connection, we gain spiritual wisdom. We gain spiritual awakening. It is through the vertical oneness and the horizontal oneness that Sheila teaches about, that really the divine masculine needs to be a relationship being first. And that's what I started out with, right? We're only the divine masculine in relationship to everything else.
Wow.
And that includes spirit, or the divine, or your higher self, or nature, whatever word you want to use.
So I'm feeling like my dad's coming into me and saying, okay, ask this question. So, because he was very practical man. So practically, if I say, listen, I'm choosing to surrender and to allow myself to be in the flow of the universe, that is my divine masculine showing up. Once I'm in that flow and I'm feeling it and integrating that feeling into my heart, that is my divine feminine. So is that like an example of both kind of working together?
Yeah, absolutely. So like
Okay.
the alpha and the omega,
Right.
that is the totality of all that is. It is not one or the other. It's like
Right.
two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Love it. Woo. Sheila, what are you thinking about this stuff?
I was thinking about the working with the divine feminine, and has been about really helping people to let go of what I call the maladaptive feminine energy, which is it adapted to the coercion of the male energy.
Right.
And in the same way, like we have to we're all returning to our source. We're returning to that union that you two talked about. So that process, I liked what you or your dad said about the action.
Thanks, Dad.
Because we all have that within us, and we all have to take action when we go to our center. And we go to the Alpha and the Omega, the union of Solara, the divine masculine and feminine. There really is very little difference, except that they do complement each other. And we all draw from within both sides of that spectrum. So yeah, that action to remember our connection and to move from coercion into complement is so essential.
Right. And as I'm going through this article on the divine masculines, talking about like once you start this process of connecting to your divine masculine and letting it, be that other side of the coin, you can expect more self-confidence. You feel more grounded. You have an enhanced ability to be objective, right? I love this thing that you connect to the warrior within, and the great soul and author and speaker Yana Van Zant talks about this, that you don't fight, you become a warrior, which is warriors are proactive in their approach to life and experience. They see themselves winning before they start any challenge. So, you connect with that. You're more self-assertive. I think that that's something that um, that we all need, right? If let's say you're starting a new profession and you're doubting yourself about the abilities that you've honed over years and how that's going to show up, getting into that divine masculine is going to help you awaken that part of yourself so that you say, oh no, I got this. That's not arrogance, that's confidence in what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and it's at the core, right?
Right,
I mean, I
right.
think what we're looking at is some behaviors that are surface and not in alignment, but projected,
Right.
are kind of dictating a lot of society.
Mm-hmm.
But the divine masculine stepping into that, you do become stronger. You
Mm-hmm.
become more centered, able to speak truth, which is power, because truth is the power, even though that's not how we've been rolling lately. But and you're now attracting the counterpart of divine feminine, right? So you're creating a space where you can have more intimacy in your relationships, both with males and females. You can feel more alive because you're no longer just serving a role. You're finding the truth within you.
Question for both of you, and I'll go to you first, Zach. As we connect with our divine masculine, is it automatic that we also connect with our divine feminine at the same time? Has that been your experience?
Well, I would have to say yes again, right?
Yeah.
It's all about
Yeah.
Mhm.
Funny how that works,
relationship, right? It's all about relationship. We can't, like, the truth is the truth.
Right.
So, and that doesn't mean it's all about harmony too, in value. It's not about, a lot of people like to think of balance, right? Like
Right.
everything's equal, and that's not true. And that's where
Right.
a lot of our culture and society goes wrong, is what we place value on is try to create this equilibrium, this balance, instead of this
Mhm.
harmonic union. And Sheila
Right.
just used a word around counterpart or counterpoint,
Right.
right? And so, yeah, it looks like that, but we can know personally which attributes that we display or that we are
Mhm.
most in harmony with,
Mhm.
and then honor the other for those attributes that they harness, right? This is why
Right.
we have community. We're
Right.
not here to be the whole by ourselves, right?
Right.
And so it's about changing our values when we reach this, because we can be more relaxed, because all of our internal wounds, our mental wounds from being mental lepers, and our
Mhm.
nervous systems are so much more relaxed. We can actually just sit back and respect and open space and love people for their expression, and that births freedom to
Mhm.
allow other people to express themselves and grow.
Right. 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 I love that. I love that. You know, the thought that's coming to mind is the something that I was taught by my grandfather about the misuse of the, you have to find someone who's evenly yoked. He would say, listen, we within ourselves, we have to be evenly yoked. But
Mhm.
people forget that that doesn't mean that one, like if you have two oxen on a plow and they're plowing through the earth and that kind of thing, it doesn't mean that one is stronger than the other. They're switching off all the time, and one part of yourself leads and the other one kind of like follows and the other part leads, but there's this symbiotic relationship that's always happening depending upon what situation you're in and the experience. So I love the fact that you were saying that, listen, this isn't like two separate things
Mhm.
that you're fighting or you're trying, okay, should I be, you're in the flow of the universe and you're allowing those parts of yourself to take the quote unquote lead when necessary. And it's an automatic, beautiful, connective kind of thing where it's not a mental process. It's a spiritual process, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Right. Which is
Innate, like almost innate too.
almost
It's like,
innate. Exactly. Go ahead, Sheila. I
yeah,
love where you're going.
effortless, right? It's innate, effortless, it flows. And I think that that is, the next step for our world, if we want to continue as a
Right.
human species, is to recall this, to remember this, because that is what will reconnect humanity to the earth and
Mhm,
therefore the environment. It's
mhm.
what will reconnect humanity to each other and therefore changes, reduction of war, reduction of poverty, reduction of famine,
Right.
and so it is in this path that we do find the practical changes that we want in the world.
Right.
Because when we know ourselves and when we're in harmony with ourselves, we're then in harmony with the earth and with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, things like there is more than enough for everyone in the universe and even on our planet. And so when things are out of balance, it's like, things like people are starving when we have more food to feed each other, 10 or 20 times over. Everybody on the earth could be well fed, right?
Mhm.
Those kinds of things would go away. So those are just some of the benefits. Listen, why don't we make this turn and give people, some information about, well, I know what it is, but I'm not sure how to connect to it. So why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more on the divine masculine with Sheila and Zach in just a quick minute.
6 years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life. through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We're just beyond the bottom of the hour, and we're talking with Sheila Applegate, our great co-host, but we also have a very special guest co-host, Zachary Hansen, today. And we're talking about the divine masculine. And Zach, you've done a lot of work. You and I both have done a lot of work within ourselves around kind of awakening this beautiful part of ourselves. When you are talking with people about the divine masculine, and they're saying, well, how do I connect to that? What is some of the things that you say to them?
Well, it's really going to depend on where the person's at in their life. So I would say if you're super active, you need to find a more passive way to sit and to be mindful and to meditate, to reveal those things that need to be brought up and looked at. And then if you're passive, you need to become more active. To start seeking, to start being out in the world, or, there's a lot of different modalities and things to do in each way, but that would be the foundation of where I would start.
Now, your passion, one of your passions is somatic breath work. I've told you about my experience. I don't think it was somatic breath work. It was something that's called rebirthing, where you go back to being in the womb and coming out through breathing. Tell us a little bit of how that connects to this.
Well, somatic breath work, it's amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. It's created a lot of healing in my life. It's brought up things that I didn't even know were there per se, or what they were. Maybe I knew they were there, but not what they were. And so basically, somatic breath work is the opportunity to express undigested emotions and tensions and stress and trauma. And then it's also the opportunity to help come back and repattern how you want to show up in the world. Who do you want to be? So it allows you to clear out all of the things that are not who you are. Like if you're questioning yourself in this journey of like, oh, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel like these clothes fit anymore. I need something new, right? A lot of times, all of the stress and the trauma, it's stored in our nervous system. It is underneath our emotions. It needs to physically be let out of the body. The physical body, the instinctual body needs to release all of this stuff that we just kind of stuff down inside. And men are super good at stuffing it all down. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, we are, my friend.
Right. And it's not about, I'm not saying that emotions won't come up, because that's part of it, but we're animals first. We're instinctual beings first.
Right.
And that's when the reaction happens in our lives. It happens on an instinctual gut level in the body. And so when we start to release that energy, the emotions come up, and then the story and the ideas. And then when they come up, we have awareness of them, and we can see that they're false.
Right.
And we don't need them to control our lives anymore.
Right. Sheila, I know you've done similar work with your clients. What thoughts are coming to you right now?
Well, I was thinking that because I have been working so closely with the divine feminine, that when male clients come to me, or even females who are more inclined to the masculine energy, they're coming because they are ready to be within the divine feminine. And I think that is part of the journey back. So helping to reconnect with emotions, helping to reconnect with the truth of who you are at your soul level. And imagination is something that I've always used with my work. And when I think of, we're bringing this down into the practical behavior of males in our society. When I think about as a play therapist, I worked with young children, and when you go to the younger years before they've been, reprogrammed, when they're still in that innocence and they're still in the imagination, they embody embody the divine masculine. They embody the aligned energy of the masculine and feminine within. And so the imagination is also a gateway back to let yourself loose from the practical thinking and explore the truth of who you are.
Wow. I keep hearing this reoccurring theme between all of us, and that is the truth of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that truth is this beautiful multidimensional soul and spirit that has decided in this lifetime to show up as Brian and Zach and Sheila and whatever
Mm-hmm.
that means. And that one of the things that we are to empower in us is to express ourselves in the human state, but with the spirituality flowing through ourselves as humans,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I love the fact that, Zach, I mean, the work that you're doing is all about, metaphorically speaking, kind of sweeping away the dirt or the part that we've kind of covered over, especially us males that think we know everything, and get into that part at which we've pushed down and stored within our body. And so I really, really appreciate the work that you're doing, because this is like that work that you're doing is in part how we change the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
you know um again, the article that I share with everyone, um that has some great tips around how to awaken the divine masculine within you. uh Zach, you had already kind of talked about the first one, which is examining your wounds surrounding the masculine, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the beautiful questions that they put forth as one of the first, and I think it says, as a male or female or non-binary, what has your experience been like with men, right? Have you
Mm-hmm.
had supportive male figures in your life, for example, your father or your brothers? Because that's what we learn, right? We model after those people who represent the divine masculine, and then we take and say, okay, well, that's how I'm supposed to incorporate that in my own world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
um
Little boys, they need fathers, they need role models, they need to
yes.
look up to people.
Yeah.
I I had a rough start in this lifetime. My father committed suicide before I was born.
Wow.
And my mother
Wow.
was a paranoid schizophrenic with multiple personalities, and she was
Yeah.
bipolar, and she did not hang out with healthy men. So my stepfather there was a lot of abuse. There was sexual abuse, there was physical abuse, there was neglect. When I was a child, I'm not saying it was pointed at me, but it was all part of the process. So I had zero good influences to grow up as far as there's a men in my life.
Wow.
I looked at that and said, nope, this is not what it is to be a man. This isn't what it's like. So I chose that route of not using it as an example.
Wow. It's funny that you talk about that, because um like we've talked about this, that my mother also suffered from mental illness. And when I was young, I mean, my father kind of represented, I mean, I have a great dad. I had a great dad, who blended both divine masculine and feminine, and was very emotive, but was also very quote unquote strong. The spiritual strength he would express, right? And one of the goals for him, for me and my brother, was we had to heal the divine feminine within us. So
Hmm.
of course we had a beautiful mother when he remarried and had a wife, and now our mother that represented both masculinity and femininity in one. But we also had to flourish and create other relationships, specifically with women that were platonic, so that we could feel our own divine femininity within us, right? But the divine masculine was guiding us through that process. That's why I asked that question earlier
Hmm.
about as you awaken one, the other one awakens as well, or comes into um more of a congruence and a beautiful multi-dimensional blend that you need in your life for this lifetime.
That's really
Um
beautiful, Brian.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm getting emotional about it already.
Mhm.
Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome.
Seriously though. I mean, um and again, and I want to make sure that we're all in agreement. This is not a destination,
Hmm.
right? This is part of your journey and your experience. And so Zach, like you were talking beautifully about your decisions and how you decided to not only study but bring into your world people like Sheila, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That it just doesn't end because you met Sheila.
Oh no. This is the beautiful part about embodying the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And I'm so blessed to be with Sheila. I'll talk about
Oh,
tears. Here they come, because I have so much love and reverence for her
oh,
and her ability to show up in partnership so I can
oh.
express my greatest attributes and my greatest ideas of what it means to be a man in relationship.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh. That's beautiful.
That
I,
is beautiful.
Zach, I feel the same way about my Sasha.
Yeah.
I do. And the fact that we all got a little emotional just means that is holy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's truth. When you resonate, all of us are resonating. That means that it's real and it's truth being expressed. Wow. We need to talk about this more, because
Amen.
what I'd like to do is, you know, um, I think sometimes that when we talk about things like this, we get very esoteric and, philosophical about what this is. But what you just stated in the way that you just stated and how it's showing up for you every day is that practicum that I think also people need. So we're relating the philosophy and the truth to people's practical lives. So I need you to come back and help us navigate that part of the conversation so that we're giving people something that they can kind of hold on to. Um, um, and so on their journeys, they can like really, really feel what you're feeling with the people that they know and love.
I would be honored. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, we got a few minutes left. Um, I think that was kind of like our final thoughts. So while we get to some quick shameless plugs, and the most beautiful thing about one of the shameless plugs today is that both of you are on because you have something wonderful coming up on June 3rd, Saturday, June 3rd, together.
Yeah. We have our fractal illumination gathering, which is an energy upgrade that was brought to us when Zach and I got together, and it was brought through spirit. Um, And it really helps people to do this, to embody, to move in the direction of harmony with our world, with the earth, with each other. And so that is available. We're doing a local gathering in person, but people who are not here locally have registered in the past and received the energy from a distance, and said that it was really powerful. So no matter where you are in the world, you can access that. And it's really beautiful. And we have our Fractal Illumination is coming out as a chapter in the Energy Healers Oracle that comes out next week. Wow. So we will be sharing the origin story of that at our Fractal Illumination, but by reading the chapter, which describes how it came to be, and from the spirit point of view. It's pretty fun. And then on the 8th of the month, I have the Matrix of Illumination here on Aspire Soulivity. And I am inspired to channel Solar, which is the energy I spoke of, the harmonic union of Alpha and Omega, or divine feminine, divine masculine in one voice. And I'm going to ask Solar to kind of go further on this topic, and what does that divine masculine mean within them.
Woo woo. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting all this information up on our screen so we can share this stuff with folks. And Zach, I know you've got some cool things happening too. Can you talk a little bit about that? And we'll get some information up online too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at consciouslyawesome.com/with Zach. That's ZAC at the end. And I would love to take you through some somatic breath work if you need to get rid of that stress, trauma, overwhelm, or you're looking to bring in that which you know you are, but you're not quite there yet. Let that body release what it needs to, so the rest of you can come in and show up for you in the world around you.
Ooh, I love this stuff. This is going to be cool. And we'll get the link up in our chat to make sure that we're talking about that. Zach, any final thoughts from you that's coming up for you right now?
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh,
I feel blessed to be able to talk about this.
No, it's been our pleasure, man. And I know we're over time, but again, this is something that I think that we definitely need to talk about more. I think it in a way, just talking about this and giving the information kind of dispels what people think of as masculinity as a whole, and will help guide us to changing our world for the better and supporting each other in doing that. So thanks again for being here. Thanks again for being here, man.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Oh man, listen, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern, right here on soulivity.com for our live broadcast or our social media platforms. Or you can listen at 9 a.m. on Thursdays and Fridays. That's Pacific time on KMET 1490 a.m. for all of you on the West Coast. So again, until next time, keep on having real conversations with passion and purpose, and create a life full of high quality living today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.